Hello everyone, welcome. This is Travel Light, Conversations with Friends of the Heart. This is the second part of our conversation with Clare Jackson. Hello, Clare again.
Hello.
And in this part, we would like to start with talking about the Akasha, the Akashic Records, and what that is and our experience with it. So, just to start the conversation, I would like to start with some of my own experiences. I think the first one I had was a couple of years ago, and one of it was actually with Reverend Lynn Laborde. And since then, I had some other readings. And what is really interesting for me, how the readers of the Akasha do this so differently. Because, for example, Reverend Lynn Laborde do this, does this in a trans-channel way, right? With very detailed, specific information given through the Akashic records, and that's fascinating for me. And even when I watched some of the videos from her when she was channeling, um, I could see that the guide that's coming through is also different. Sometimes it's more masculine, sometimes it's more feminine. And even for me, I remember I saw someone before me, and the guide was a more masculine energy. And I just had that thought before my own reading that, oh, I really hope that it's gonna be a more feminine energy because I feel more in the vibe for that. And that's what came true. It was so amazing. And then later, I had other readings where it wasn't trance channeling with someone else, with a Hungarian woman. Um, it was more like she closed her eyes too, but I could feel that her personality is there, but it's more like in the background. And the information wasn't that specific. She was conveying more feelings and more blurry situations and images. So I find that very interesting. So my first question would be, what's your experience with this? What does this depend on? Like, who can be a trance channel, or why is it that someone sees this so specifically in so much detail?
Yeah, we would call like a trance channel more of an oracle. They have access to like the detailed information that they have access to is not coming from them at all. It is a trance channel completely removes themselves from the situation. They're numb to it. They're not even present. So their consciousness is basically like invisible. So the information is able to come through in very pure form. This is helpful uh, if to move the ego out of the way to if you want really specific information. So you'll be drawn to someone like that if you really want specific information. But the important thing to know is that you are actually the one who is empowering that to happen. It's your curiosity, it's your openness, it's your desire to to get the specific information. The the person who their personality, like you were able to feel that very well, what was happening. And so you're clear on what's going on, that this person's personality is still present, but it's in the background. That's typical for people who are doing Akashic Records. Everybody is going to experience it differently. Some people are very skilled with knowing, and things come in as like whole ideas. And that's pretty much the way that I read is an entire idea shows up, and I have to put the words to it to describe this idea. So the idea shows up purely. Like the information still is coming in purely, but I am giving it expression. And that's what the personality is for in those types of readings. It's necessary to be able to communicate. The um the the trance channel or an oracle will, it's only the mind that's being used, but in its purest form, the mind is being used. And so they will actually use words that are just kind of that person's words still. So they have access to the mind and the particular personality, but it's able to be used in a little more broad type way. Like they can get creative with it, is kind of the way that it feels. Um, and some people will see things or hear things, and then the words that are coming are not their words. They're someone else's words. Like they will use words that are not words that they would normally use. So everyone has their own little flavor, and you'll be drawn to the person that you kind of vibe with, that your vibration is calling this certain energy to come forth in this certain way. And it's not that one's better than the other, it's the perfect one for you right then, is kind of the
Mhm.
way it ends up working out.
Wow, that's fascinating. And is it something that you can train for? Like, you decide that, oh, I want to be a trance channel. Because for me, if I think about it, again, the reflection, like something within, for example, because I started to um, study about reading the Akashic too, and I get to a certain point. But when I think about being a trance channel, there's too much fear around that. The disappearing, So probably it's about fear of the ego of not wanting to disappear. And there has to be some reason for that, like maybe if the egoic patterns are about giving up oneself and being invisible, then maybe um, there's a process to that. First, reclaiming the lost parts, and then maybe
Well,
there can be a point where that's not fearful or
yeah,
uh,
you're actually being shown your first step if you want to move in that direction. You follow the fear. That's the way to move toward it. And so you're discovering that window, this little window that you can crawl through. Just step one. That's all we're given ever, is the next step. We're not given all the steps to become the thing. Even, I mean, anytime we do that, like when you first start college, you don't know what all you're going to do. You just start. So it's the same thing if you wanted to learn how to be a trance channel. Your desire creates that journey. Your desire creates the opportunity. And when you take the first step, the second step opens up, the third step opens up, and you get a little more brave, a little more willing, a little, more desire. You're seeing something, a fruit from your desire is kind of maybe showing up. Sometimes it could be another fear that you uncover. That's okay, but it's showing you the next step. So it, when we are are wanting something, like that question is always being posed to us. What do you truly want? What do you want?
Mhm.
And all we're asked to do is step toward what we truly want, the first step. And then that journey opens up. Then the next step opens up. Even our guides cannot tell us exactly what's going to happen because it's being created by our vibration, by our how our beingness at that moment in time.
Hmm. Wow, thank you. A lot to ponder about. So can you tell me a little bit about when the Akashic records, like reading and all this like huge part of spirituality showed up for you? And what do you think why at that point?
Well, when I first had my first spiritual awakening about 8.5 years ago, I was seeing things, I was hearing things, I just knew stuff. Um, there were I could look across the road and see a flower and smell it. Like it was wild. There were some wild things that happened. And um, and and the way that it feels to me, if I were to describe it, I don't know if you ever heard of like a venomous snake, a baby venomous snake. When it bites you, it's more dangerous to be bitten by a baby venomous snake because they can't control their venom yet. So they give
Hmm.
you all their venom. They don't save any because it takes them a while to make it. And so they only want to use the least amount that they need to get themselves safe, to safety. But a baby will just let loose on you, like give you all the venom. And that's the way it felt. It felt like I was spraying energy like everywhere. It was uncontrollable. I didn't know what was happening. I was like seeing all this light moving, and it was overwhelming. It was like very overwhelming. So since then, I've been experiencing this gentle opening, and it was um it was around 2021, the middle of 2021, when my spiritual stuff, powers, or whatever you want to call it, started waking up again. It was all I wanted to do. It was all I felt called to. Um, and I came back to Way of Mastery, where I had been doing a lot of just things with myself. And I went to a Way of Mastery retreat, and I joined a group that was studying. And at that retreat was where I met Reverend Lynn Laborde. And she said to me, "I know who you were." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" I know who you were. She said, "I know who you were with Joshua. I know who you were. I think I know who you were." And I said, "Okay, so who am I?" And she said, "You're one of the sisters." And I just went, "Oh, okay." And so we were watching a movie that night, and I was walking from my room with some pillows to lay down on the floor and watch a movie. And I was thinking about how I was going to tell my mom when I got home, I might be one of Jesus's sisters. And all of a sudden it lands in me. It, it lands. And I know that it's true. And Joshua pops in, and he's telling me, "I've been with you since the moment you were born. I've loved you every moment of your existence." He's saying all these beautiful, sweet things. And then he says, in a very joking way, he says, "Lynn always ruins everything." And I didn't know Lynn like that. I didn't. And but it was how I knew that it was a voice other than mine. And that was my clue. So I signed up with her the next day. And it was the next retreat that I went to in January. So this was December. And then January, I went to the retreat, and I was processing and processing and processing, where I was finding these emotions, these trapped memories, these trapped beliefs, I just the tension and the tightness in my body. I was finding these ideas in this body. And all of a sudden I felt right here this numbness. And as soon as I processed this numbness, my third eye opened back up. And all this light was streaming out of my forehead. And I heard Joshua again, and he said he wanted me to come and float in the pool at this hotel. And so I'm floating in the pool, and he's telling me that I'm going to leave my job in IT and I'm going to be doing this work for the rest of this lifetime. And I hadn't even started the course yet. I hadn't even learned about the Akashic Records. So I argued a bit and then agreed that I would do that. And beings started showing up. All my dead relatives started showing up. Mary Magdalene showed up. People's pets showed up to talk to me. And I learned that it's possible to go to this meeting place, this Akashic Records, which is contained in my heart. My Akashic Records is in my heart. So it's just an invitation deeper into our own heart, where every piece of information about our soul, about our relationships, about the choices we've made inform in other dimensions and in all possibilities for the future, um, for lifetimes, I mean, everything is there. All information is there, and it's all already in me. And to learn that that's the truth, and then to experience over and over again that that's how I'm experiencing the Akashic Records. All I'm doing is convincing myself of what I already know, that all information, that all knowledge, that I have access to everything within me. And so that was the gift that the Akashic Records, learning about it, gave me. And what I want to give to everyone else is to let them know that there is access to everything within you. And it's through that door. The Akashic Records door is how we created that as souls, to access.
That's so beautiful. A question just popped in for me. Do you know the part of the Course in Miracles, that um, that shorter booklet about the psychotherapy part, when Joshua talks about that everyone who comes to you is an aspect of yourself, and really it's not about healing the one who comes to you, but they show something about yourself. And my question would be regarding this, that do you have this experience while reading the Akashic Records for the people who come to you, that they bring some kind of messages, or what you read to them is somehow also for you,
Well,
or it's
that's
different?
yeah, that's actually something I remind people of when I do a reading. I want them to trust themselves and to feel what lands for them, because that's the only thing that matters in that message, is what's landing in them. Because a lot of times I'll do a reading and I'll be doing it for someone else, and I can't remember it at all. It doesn't land for me. It is not my language. It is not something I'm processing right then. It's not, but I can feel that it's for them. It's just a service that I'm providing, of giving this body to this moment, and 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 in service, with it not being about me. But then sometimes I'll be doing a reading and I know that they're talking to both of us. I know that they're talking to me and to this person. And it's a reflection, like you're talking about, of exactly why they're there. But even in those moments when it's a reading for someone else, there is a reason that Holy Spirit brings to me for that gathering, for that moment, that relationship. So it's just about observing from my perspective what is for me. So the rest I can let go of. The rest can be um, for let it be what it is. The rest can just go. It's not important. There's only what is landing for me, what's touching me. And
Mhm.
I love the community that we've built at Already Healed, because you get a taste of all these different ways that people read, and you just know, like, you'll feel drawn to being with a certain person, and you're curious, why them? Why that person? Why do I want that person to read for me? And sometimes it's not anything else that they say other than one word that they're going to say that's going to, like, trigger something to for into my awareness that grows me to a new place.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah, I had experiences like that too. Just one expression or one sentence. Yeah. Mm.
So it's not because the person who's reading you, it's not their power that's creating that moment. It's the person they're reading for. It's that person calling it forth. And whether it's to be disappointed or to have more awareness about themselves, or to feel a deeper connection to something, or to send them in a certain direction, they're calling that forth. It's not the person reading them.
Mm. That is so true that sometimes it's about disappointment. Because I remember on my path, there were some parts when the message was like, stop going outside of yourself, to others for answers, and just listen and trust. And because there was a sense of disappointment, I didn't really get here anything I thought I would. And then I could just know that, well, yes, it's because I doubted that I myself know the answers or what I should do. And it's such a good point. Then that's what it was for,
Right. And
to
I mean,
come back to ourselves.
it's just laughable. It's so funny what we're doing. We're doing here. It's the opposite of what, the world would teach us. Oh, this person has this certificate. They know how to read the Akashic Records, so they're going to have all my answers. You have all your answers. You will continue if you continue to doubt it, you will be shown over and over that you have all of your answers. Yeah.
And also, one interesting and very important point is, I think that the information from the Akashic records cannot replace the emotional processing. So you can't substitute the emotional processing with having the information and skip it. Just let's skip the emotional part and the processing.
Yeah, I just need to find the answer so this will go away. No, it doesn't.
Mm, right.
You can't, it doesn't, and it's unavoidable. And what I've realized in doing this for this many years is that the truth shows up before its opposite. So we have the experience of truth, and then we know that truth, we're living that truth. And so all that opposes living that truth fully then rises to the surface, and we want to shove it down and say, no, I'm different. That's not me anymore. I don't believe that. That's not how it is. But we just keep it alive by doing that. And So it has to come. And so I like to remind my students that this cannot show up unless you're looking back at it. Unless you're already past it, it cannot come up. You're done with it, or it couldn't come. It is complete. It's already done.
Oh, wow. Yeah, right. So
Mhm.
even to see the pattern, it already shows that it's done. It's almost like just echoes of it, and just forgiving ourselves for letting that drive our mind or our being. Yeah, that's powerful.
Mhm.
And have the clarity.
It makes it less likely to resist it because it's just like you said, it's an echo. It's a reminder of, yeah, this isn't what I want anymore. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Okay, but then the devil's advocate, right? What about the addictions? Like when you know about something that this isn't good for me, but you can't be finished with it. So
Yeah,
that's a very hard part. Like
that's
because
the
then you can't enjoy it anymore, but you start to feel guilty for it and bashing yourself like why can't I just quit and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's the freedom we all have. We
Mm,
all have the freedom, especially when we can see something, we can see it. It's in our awareness. We know we're doing it. We're still choosing it. And then we're hating ourselves for choosing it. You're choosing it. Accept that you're choosing it.
mm,
Fucking enjoy it. Like, stop bashing it. You're doing it because you want to.
mm,
Admit it. You want to do it. It's- I mean, I'm eating chocolate cake for breakfast for the 17th day in a row. I'm doing it because I want to. Just enjoy it. To enjoy the thing you're choosing.
mm,
Mm. And that's where I think we get, because we're not letting it be finished. We are holding on tighter to it by resisting experiencing it fully.
mm. Freely, yeah.
Freely. Yeah. Mhm.
And
I've heard
maybe it's also an old like religious belief that came to my mind, you know, when there was that how do you call it, the self bashing.
flagellation is what it's
Right.
called. Yeah.
So it's like you will be done with it if you do this bashing yourself thing. So I guess it's pretty deeply ingrained.
It absolutely can be. So that's but we can't actually see underneath it until we fully embrace it. You're not going to see the motivation underneath until you actually experience it fully. If we're staying up here in the judgment of it, we can't go to the subconscious and find what's kind of what the machine is, underneath there.
Mm, yeah.
Mm.
So then we are back to curiosity. Yeah.
Yes.
Round and around and around, going back to the same things.
That's it. It's constantly diving into these things and we come up bigger. But a bloom arises and then we're down back down, we're coming back up. But I've heard it described as like a slinky. It's a spiral, right? We're constantly moving up. You're never not moving up in vibration, never. You're just moving into the dark. It's like half white, half light, half dark. You move into the dark, you move into the light, but you're still going up. You're still going
Mm,
up. It's like a mirage that we're going backwards. You're not going backwards.
mm.
Yeah.
Or maybe just looking at the same thing, but from a higher perspective.
And gaining mastery over it.
Mm.
Mhm.
For example, by consciously and joyfully choosing it. Like, sometimes I had so many phases with eating chips. I really loved, uh, I don't know the name of it, but whatever, but just I used to bash myself for it, like I shouldn't do it, but got to the point of, and I thought, for example, that, well, if I'm gonna learn cooking and healthy eating, sure, that I'm not gonna do it anymore. But I still do it, and when I realized it, that it doesn't depend on what I thought it's depending on, or was the cause of it, I can just enjoy it and even be grateful for it. So it's just one example.
Yeah, it's here, it's happening. How do I want to experience it? Is that
Mm-hmm.
same choice. Yeah. We are totally free to see things how we want to see them.
Mm.
Yeah. Mm.
Is there anything that you would like to talk about regarding the Akashic? No other question comes to my mind now.
Um, well, the only thing we haven't really said, oh, excuse me. The only thing that we haven't really said is that that everyone has access. And you said, can you build this? Can you build that ability? And it is true that you can build the ability, and you'll find everyone is going to be good at different things with the Akashic records, and we all can access it in our own way. Some people write, they only write, and they can see things, or it comes out of their pen, right? Some people walk into the Akashic records, and it's all about emotion and sensing things. Some people travel, they go places when they're like going to different planets and having these wild experiences that are mirrors of what they're experiencing in their life, and it's like an analogy. Um, or they see everything in color. People will see everything in color, and the color has different meanings to it. Or they'll get symbols, and the symbols have meanings to them. So there's so many different ways. Everyone has their own little tweak to it, and we're not limited with it. If you want to move in a certain direction, like you said, you can. There's a journey. We are free to take whatever journey we want to while we're here.
Mm. Thank you. I have one last question that I have for you. What does travel light mean for you?
What does travel light mean for me? Hmm. Hmm. Oh, I'm feeling it like I'm seeing like a child chasing light around, like a ball of light around. And when we are traveling with light, when we are playing and moving and opening to light and the way that it wants to be and move and express, then we are traveling with it and not against it. So it feels like traveling with light, playing with light,
Mm.
and playing with all the multitude of beautiful expressions that light wants to be.
I love that. That's so visual. Well, thank you so much again for being here and sharing this space and time with me and with us. I guess everyone who listened or at any point in time will listen, have been with us now, right? I find that's fascinating about social media. So you were my first guest, and this was such a beautiful experience. I hope you enjoyed it too.
I did. I loved talking with you. This was fascinating, and thank you for the experience. And I witnessed a lot within myself also, so I can't wait to get curious about that and see where it goes. I'll let you know.
Oh, great, great. So thank you everyone for joining and listening. And I think it's a beautiful slogan for life too. Just travel light, but also embrace the seeming darkness. So thank you, Claire, again, and see you in my next video. Hello, everyone.